Hey there guys, the PC guy here, and we're going to be talking about the GPU that you need to have on your PC to play at a specific given resolution. Now, it's not as easy as get the whatever you can get with the money that you have available in your budget, but if you're going to be making smart decisions, you need to know, well, exactly what you need and why you need it. So first off, a very quick explanation of why you need certain GPUs for certain resolutions and frame rates. The bigger the resolution you play at, the stronger your GPU needs to be because the more pixels there are on your screen that your GPU has to render and to display well, every second. Just as a quick and dirty example, if you play at 1080p, your screen will typically have around 2 million pixels to display, while if you play at 4K, it's going to be above the 8 million pixels. So as you can see, it stands to the reason that you would need a much stronger graphics card to play at 4K than you would need to play at 1080p at the same range. So the first thing that you need to keep in mind, that you need to think about, other than your resolution that you are aiming to play at, of course, is what frame rate you are going to be playing at. Is your screen 60 Hz? Is it 144, 120, 240? That is going to make a difference of what frame rate you're actually aiming at and what you hope to achieve. Naturally, for higher frame rates, you need a better graphics card. Last but not the least, the quality settings that you want to play at. You want to play at ultra or high quality settings in the games that you're going to be playing, or are you okay with lowering it down to medium or low if need be to maintain a high frame rate? This all plays together because if you're going to be playing at high frame rate, high resolution, and high settings, you're going to need a much better GPU than if you are playing at lower resolution, lower settings, lower frame rate. And the combination of those three factors are going to be very important in, well, what performance you're actually going to be getting with the GPU that you choose. There's only one thing that I might want to add, which is you might want to invest on a particular brand, either AMD or Nvidia, in a very specific case. So if you have a G-Sync display, you definitely want a Nvidia graphics card. If you have a FreeSync, doesn't matter much because Nvidia now also supports FreeSync. Other than that, it is pretty much, a free for all. Whatever gives you the best performance is what I would recommend it, or the best performance per money, that is. If you're going to be playing at low refresh rates at 1080p, the recommendation I can give you is the RX 570. The prices start as low as 130, although I would definitely recommend to keep an eye out and grab the models with 8GB RAM because, well, the price difference between the lower end models and the higher end models is not really enough to justify not grabbing the 8GB model just to be a bit better off as far as VRAM goes, and the performance is better than the comparable Nvidia alternative, which is the 1650. It's more expensive, performs worse, so you're better off getting the RX 570 from the AMD. If you want higher refresh rates on 1080p or better settings, you have two choices. You can go for the RX 590, which is the cheaper option in terms of value. It's a much better choice in terms of performance for the money you pay. Or you can go for the NVIDIA 1660 Ti. Now the question is, how much do you value performance and how much do you value the value of the card. If you are okay with paying quite a bit more for a slight increase of performance, by all means go for the 1660 Ti. If you are rather get better value for the money you pay, then the RX 590 is a better option because they are a lot cheaper. Both of these cards will deliver solid performance of 1080p at high settings and pretty decent refresh rates. I myself am often running on the 1660 Ti on pretty much ultra settings on all the games that I play, and I have no issues at all running it at 60 Hz. If you are planning to run it at higher refresh at 1080p, then it might be worth considering investing in a better graphics card, be it, for example, an RX 570 or an RTX 2060 or 2070 if you want extreme high refresh rate. Now the cards that I just mentioned can easily carry you into 1440p, at least the higher end ones that I mentioned can carry you into 1440p at low settings at 60 Hz. However, I do recommend something a little bit beefier if you're going for high settings or better refresh rates on 1440p. So for entry level on 1440p, I would probably recommend either of two choices, either the RX 570 or the RTX 2060 Super. There are two options here, like I said, are the RX 5700, which starts at around 300 something, although you can probably find models on the lower 300s, as you can see here, 330 on the ASRock Radeon RX 5700 to 8GB. So it starts on the lower 300s, 320 to 130. You can maybe find some sales for it. And your other alternative is the 2060 Super, which starts at a much higher price of around the $400 USD. So The choice here is pretty simple. I would definitely recommend you the RX 5700. The price difference is just too great to justify the small difference in performance between the two. And this is definitely the best entry-level option that you can go for as far as GPUs go on the 1440p entry-level range. The reason why I don't recommend that 2060 Super at all is that because for the same price, as you can see around the $400 mark, you start being able to get some of the RX 5700 XTs. Now these 5700 XTs are pretty much the best value card that I can recommend in this video, period. For comparison, here is the nearest thing that Nvidia has, which is the RTX 2070 Super, and they are $100 more expensive than the cheapest 5700 XT options. Now, I haven't had my own benchmark videos of these two cards, but if you've watched any other reviewers out there, the 2070 Super and the 5700 XT, the Super wins by a margin of about 3 to 4%. For $100 difference, that's nothing. So if you are going for the $400 price range, or if you are going for a bit higher end on the 1440p scale, please get a 5700 XT. The 2060 Super does not matter because it's the same price as the XT, so you might as well get the XT, which is a lot better. And the 2070 Super is almost the same performance for $100 more. So AMD has the mid-range locked down pretty tightly here. If you are going for entry-level to 4040p, get the 5700. Same thing goes if you want higher refresh rate on 1080p, obviously get the 5700. It's pretty good deal, really, if you want to spend a bit more than the RX 590. If you're going for higher end 1440p or low end 4K, I would risk it, although don't expect miracles there. Definitely get the 5700 XT. The only reason that you might get the 2070 Super, there's so many numbers, it's crazy, I know. The only reason you might get the 2070 Super is if you get a great deal on it and you really don't mind paying more for the slight amount of extra value, or if for some reason you really need to get Nvidia. For the 4K range, sadly, there is not so much that I can give you in terms of choices. There's only three choices. You could have a 2070 Super or a 5700 XT running 4K at low refresh rates, like 60, hopefully, with very low settings, or you have two choices and they're both Nvidia. You can get the 2080 Super, which will be able to perform pretty decently. You will probably be able to play 60 FPS with pretty decent settings, with mostly on high, maybe lowering it on a few games, it will be fine. Or you can get the 2080 Ti and you'll be able to run games pretty much on ultra with 60 FPS, or lower them a bit and achieve perhaps a bit of higher settings. So sadly, the high-end range is very much uncompetitive, and there's not a whole lot I can give you other than, well, state the obvious, and that those are the choices that you have. Now, there is some hope that we might have some news from AMD in the near future regarding being more competitive at the higher range. There's no concrete information out yet, so we'll have to wait for that for the actual announcements. I'm expecting to hear something around end of this year, start of the next, as far as what is expected goes, and then some more concrete information like launches or so, like probably before the summer of next year. So we'll wait for that, and hopefully some good news will come out of that. Also, possible new Nvidia launches when that time comes, as far as to try to steal the thunder from AMD, and AMD stealing the thunder from Nvidia. They'll probably be timing their launches pretty much around the same time window, so it's probably going to be a new exciting time around the summer of next year, I'm expecting. Intel's probably also soon going to be coming to the GPU game. Still, again, no concrete dates for that, but also expected to be in 2020, so it seems to be a nice year for the GPU, but at this point, these are the options that we have, the ones I just mentioned. Now, this has been Ethic PC, guys. Sadly, there are not a whole lot of concrete performance numbers that I can give you because I don't have a lot of hardware to test, but from what I have read around and checked other benchmarks, these are the recommendations that I can give you as far as GPU choices go in relation to the monitor you have and what settings you are hoping to play. Hope this has helped you with your choice of GPUs. I put a few links down there to the Amazon pages for the GPUs that I have mentioned if you would like to purchase through Amazon. So hope your GPUs serve you well. I think PC Guy out. See you next time.